Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into this, right? So private lending, it is going to be a loan between, we have a borrower and a lender. Now, where the lender, it is a private individual and not a financial institution. Let's put an example. Let's give an example, right? So it could be, okay, I have this individual that's going to be borrowing money, and I am going to be the person lending versus a bank, right? Very straightforward. Now, the borrower, this person here borrowing the money, cannot or does not want to qualify for traditional financing, and it is willing to pay extra interest as an alternative. Now, so let's say the person, it is the borrower, right? Let's say this individual is now trying to, let's say the regular, the financial, the traditional financing. They may have to go to a bank. They may have to go through the process of actually trying to get a loan, and even fall under the realm and the regulations of whatever the bank it is providing. So they may not want this. Therefore, they may look for what's a private lending source. So that's going to be pretty much it here, unless there's something additional you want me to cover here, Jerry.
No, so that's the basic definition of it. Now, with private lending, there's 3 different types out there. So as we're talking about loans, right, the first one is secured. Right? Secured means it's backed by an asset. We have collateral. So when you think of secured, I want you to think of like a mortgage or a car loan or something of that nature, right? So that's going to be the first part of this. The second part is going to be unsecured, right? So unsecured would be like a credit card, right? Something where you don't have anything backing it. You know, there's really nothing as collateral being served. And so that's going to be typically something I'm going to stay very far away from. And then finally is seller finance real estate. This is where I actually buy the property myself. I'm not necessarily lending money. I'm actually lending the possession, right? The property itself. And so seller finance is a little bit different in that respect. Tonight, what we're going to be mostly focused on is secured private lending with real estate, right? So this is going to be kind of the area we focus on and stay in on tonight. Good. So there's 2 different groups you can lend to, right? You can lend to an individual or you can lend to a fund. And so this is important. Like when I talk about loans, and Nano, I don't know if you've run into this before on calls talking with clients, but when you talk about private lending, a lot of people initially, I've heard them and like, oh, my brother-in-law has a real estate deal he wants to borrow money for, or I've got a friend, or I've got this person. And they immediately think of an individual that they're going to loan money to, which kind of makes sense. That's what we have our experience with banks as, is they loan money to us as individuals, they're corporations. If you're doing it as like an individual yourself, you actually want to flip it, right? And Nano, do you run into that on calls? Do you hear that a lot?
Yeah, sometimes people do have this idea, right? And it's almost like when we think about a previous step before investing is actually minimizing the amount of risks that I'm going to actually bring into an investment deal. So if I'm going to be investing in such a thing, it's almost like a flip of a coin, right? Because as we're going to be covering throughout the rest of the webinar here, it's a couple of things that need to be looked at whenever it comes to a fund, right? Okay, does he have a track record, right? Do they have experience? Have they ever paid on time, right? Do they actually do that, right? Versus my brother-in-law or whoever who may have a great idea, who may have done once or twice, right? And I'm like, well, let me go ahead and show you some of the data. Let's go take a look at some numbers here, right? So from time to time, I do come across people that have that, and I just have to almost like help them become more educated on the subject. And then, hey, take a look at the data. Let me know what you think, right? Whenever we take a look at the numbers, it's kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and the thing, guys, with this is if you're looking at like track record, right, you're typically going to see a lot better track record with a fund. And an individual that's really good at real estate investing, if they're borrowing money and they're doing deals, they're probably not going to stay as an individual for very long. They're typically going to start a fund anyways. So for me, I almost never look at this. This is something I might look at with seller finance real estate, which we won't talk about this week. That's again where you buy the property, you find a family that wants to live there and they make mortgage payments to you. You would then go direct to individual. But if I have capital, if I've got money, I'm going to go direct to a fund 100% of the time. If you're wondering, what does Wealth Dynamics do? How can we actually help you? Number one, if you haven't gotten a copy of my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom, grab one now. You can get that down in the comments in the video. You can get the link for that. Number two, we do a free course on Fridays on personal finance. Okay, you can also get the link for the description there too. And then finally, if you have a desire to start getting help walking through these different phases toward financial freedom, book a call with my team. Go to our website, set up a call. We're able to help out and answer questions. That's how we can help you. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you turn notifications on, and I will talk to you guys on the next video.